Okay, this isn't gonna be a full Royal Rumble review. I haven't watched the full Royal Rumble. I turned it on and, I worked, I woke up, I turned it on just to see what it was, and it was on the AJ Styles Gunther match. I did see the Sami Zayn Drew McIntyre match too. And this, I just want to talk about the crowd, because I'm not sure what's going on. We went to Saudi Arabia before and it was packed. The Royal Rumble is like the number, it's the top 3 pay-per-view of, WWE. It's WrestleMania, and then it's SummerSlam, and then it's Royal Rumble. Or you can say it might even be WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and then SummerSlam. And it was empty. And granted, SmackDown was empty, but we kind of expected SmackDown to maybe empty, and then, Royal Rumble was going to be like packed. But then I was looking at Drew McIntyre's entrance, and he gets on the ring. They give a camera shot, in front of Drew, so you could kind of see the stadium behind him, like the crowd. And I don't know if this was on purpose or if they were trying to do this, but the stands had so many empty seats, it almost looked as if they wanted to do that. Like they wanted to take a section in the crowd and make it like part of the entrance, or like because it had this effect of like these blue seats or something. Now I know in the past, you have some arenas where the seats do have like LEDs on it. So, they could either be like yellow, red, like it's part of the entrance or like theme of the show. So I gotta go back and look, but for the most part, even if we say, hey, they wanted to keep those seats empty so that it could be used for part of the entrances, like you wanted the part of the Titantron Arena to be in the crowd, which, if they did that on purpose, it was kind of fire. But you can see clearly, even when the camera, is avoiding that area, you still had multiple missing seats. Like you'll have like 2 rows full, and then, like it was patchy. It was a patchy crowd everywhere. Like I don't even know how many people actually showed up. Like, man, this looked like a 10,000 person crowd, honestly. A SmackDown in New Orleans, not the Superdome, but the New Orleans arena was sold out. When they did that Cody, sell your soul type gimmick, that was sold out, and we didn't know The Rock was coming until the day before. So everyone pretty much already had brought their tickets at that point. But man, even some Raw, like Raw last week was sold out compared to the Royal Rumble in Saudi, and we don't even go to Saudi but like once a year. And you telling me it couldn't sell out? I mean, last year when you had the SmackDown and then the Crown Jewel, but I mean that was Cena's retirement tour. I mean that was packed, but the crowd, I mean, they was into it a little bit. I'm not gonna say they was the worst crowd. You had some Raws and SmackDowns where the crowd was like boring, but I mean, this is Saudi Arabia. This is supposed to be, you know, they look at Saudi Arabia like it's Madison Square Garden. But, like, I really have no idea why this was so empty. I mean, I don't know how Saudi Arabia does it, but it seemed like this area in Saudi Arabia is like their Vegas. You know, Riyadh is supposed to be like, you know, this is the kind of wealthy part. Like, this is, so like I said, this is their Vegas almost. Hotels, attractions, you know, it's WWE. I can't even say WWE not that popular because they just came there last year with John Cena. So did those people just be like, man, this is just garbage? Like, they can't consume it. And I don't blame them. I do not blame them if they did not want to come to the Royal Rumble. You know, because the people that's paying for, you know, the Saudi government and stuff, they got that money. You know, they want WWE, which is crazy. Like, I mean, they want WWE to come, but if WWE is going to give them pathetic, you know, horrible shows, I mean, they not going to keep paying that money. You have to give them some quality. Because if you think about it, the people that's in charge that want to bring WWE to Saudi most likely grew up on, you know, the Vince McMahon product. You know, they grew up on the 80s, 90s, the early 2000s, you know, and probably are fans still to this day. And Triple H is giving them like the worst WWE possible. Like, he's really stealing their money. I mean, if they're gonna pay buku money, even to give you a, you know, barely give you a crowd, you know, Saudi is even doing $7 meet and greets. You know, $7 meet and greets, man. If the US had $7 meet and greets, every meet and greet would be packed every single time. But you are giving the Saudis like the most horrible product of WWE ever. Now, Crown Jewel was okay. You know, it was okay. I'm not gonna say it was just trash, but it was alright. But this Royal Rumble, man, I like I said, I haven't watched the whole thing, but the two matches I did see, you know, the Gunther retiring AJ Styles, the match was okay. I mean, it was AJ Styles and Gunther. Of course, they're gonna give you an okay match, but like I said, no story there. You know, they could have did way more, so that fell short. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. I mean, Sami Zayn just got his ass whooped. You know, but I think they had to go with that because there was no story. They probably wanted Sami Zayn to win the Rumble, but they couldn't just pull the trigger on that. So they have to put him in the main event. I get that. You know, when you don't make stories, you have to rely on crap like this. And you couldn't just throw the belt on Sami Zayn. You know, I'm pretty sure they're going to throw the belt on Sami Zayn WrestleMania 43. You know, Sami's probably going to win the Rumble next year. You know, it would have just been better just let him win this year in Saudi. Give Saudi what they want. You know, I guess. I mean, it's really difficult to predict. I mean, because Sami Zayn just isn't that guy yet. You know, maybe you want Kevin Owens to come back. But I mean, oh my God, do you really want to see a Sami Zayn versus Roman versus a Cody versus Orton versus, let me see, versus Kevin Owens or something like versus, I mean, we got him versus Drew. I mean, that kind of made sense for the Royal Rumble, but bruh, like, Sami Zayn just stood no chance. Like that match might have been 5 minutes. You know, I mean, we clearly know Sami Zayn just can't beat Drew. Like, why would Sami Zayn beat Drew? And the way Drew was kind of acting, I don't know if Sami Zayn was supposed to go over and then it was a last minute decision to switch it. Just something about Drew's face and, you know, Sami Zayn's face when he got in the ring, and he was just looking like they was kind of looking at each other, smiling a little bit, like, you know, it was like an inside joke or something, like something about it. You know, they knew something we didn't, and maybe it was the crowd, maybe, I don't know what it was, but they for sure just, I don't know. Something about the Royal Rumble, the 2 matches I saw, this is not a full Royal Rumble review, but this is kind of like a crowd review a little bit. The 2 matches I saw so far, man, it's not worth the money that Saudi's paying, and I'm afraid of WrestleMania 43. You know, taking WrestleMania 42 away from New Orleans and then not going back to New Orleans for 43. Like, if you're gonna take it from us for 42, you could have gave it to us for 43. You know, they took it from New Orleans, and it's gonna fall short. Vegas is probably gonna sell out just because there's a lot of rich people in Vegas. There's a lot of businesses in Vegas. There's a lot of Hollywood sports in Vegas. So you can get some people to buy these $30,000 tickets, or you could get a business to spend $1 million and, you know, buy, you know, 100K tickets and stuff like that. But man, Royal Rumble crowd was, I'm gonna say, horrible. Wasn't sold out. You know, was it not sold out because, you know, Saudi, you know, brought the tickets and people just didn't show up? You know, I know Saudi can't force the crowd to be there, but I know Saudi usually buys it, and then, you know, I know they give a lot of them away free. But I don't know, like, maybe people just not interested in WWE because they're giving them a garbage product. But y'all put in the comments, like, why do y'all think the Royal Rumble wasn't packed? You know, Crown Jewel has nothing on Royal Rumble. Like, Royal Rumble is a staple. Why wasn't the Royal Rumble packed? Y'all put that in the comments. Why it wasn't packed. Like, comment, subscribe.